Jaya Radha Madhava Gunja Bihari Gunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Lava Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Damunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jai. Hare Krishna dear devotees, we'll now be having a Bhagavad Gita class. So I kindly request, if you're willing to face this way, then I can see your beautiful faces. My name is Panchatatva Das. I recently moved here to Bhaktivedanta Manor, so it's a pleasure to see you all today. Where have you all come from? St. Albans. Ah, very nice cathedral. Yeah. I've been. They have Evensong in the cathedral. Have you been? Yeah. Yeah, very, very beautiful. Yeah, everybody knows the best way to please the Lord is to chant His glories. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita. Everyone here is familiar with Bhagavad Gita? Yes? Bhagavad Gita is a complete science of God. Prabhupada said, simply, I know one book. And because I know one book perfectly, I can defeat all the arguments of all the atheists and all the scientists who have their own agendas, simply by knowing this book. Many of us are interested in studying more confidential knowledge about Krishna, and we should, in one sense, when we're qualified, but fundamentally we should understand Bhagavad Gita. We have to understand these teachings, because until we understand that we're not this body, until we understand we're eternally servants of Krishna, and realize this, then we're not really qualified to understand very esoteric knowledge about Krishna. So first, before we start, we chant an invocation. So repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from chapter 6. Anyone know the title of chapter 6? Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana is a form of meditation. We're reading text 32. So perhaps I would just read the Sanskrit myself, and then we can read the word for word, and I'll read the verse in translation. Atmapumyena sarvatra samam pasyati yorjana sukham vayati vadukam sayogi paramo mata. So word for word, please repeat. Atma, with his self. Apamanyena, by comparison. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samam, equally. Pashyati, sees. Yaha, he who. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Sukham, happiness. Va, or. Yadi, if. Va, or. Dukkham, distress. Saha, such. Yogi, a transcendentalist. Parama, perfect. Mata, is considered. So translation and purport. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So please repeat. He is a perfect yogi who by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Srila Prabhupada's purport. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nacha tasmin manusyeshu kasche me priyakritama. That's from Bhagavad Gita 1869. In other words, a devotee of the Lord actually looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man toward Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So before we begin the class, we will just chant some auspicious prayers to seek blessings from the previous teachers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatam Mayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Bharjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinobando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhanevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Everybody, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for attending here. It's actually recommended in this age, simply the best thing we can do with our time is hear about Krishna. Krishna is within the heart. It's described that we are not these bodies, we're the jiva, the small spark of consciousness which is residing in the heart. And sitting beside this jiva is the Paramatma, is the expansion of Krishna who accompanies us all throughout our wanderings in this material world. Up to the highest planet, down to the lowest. Krishna is there. And Krishna wants us to come back to him. But unfortunately, sometimes we're a little bit reluctant. You know, Krishna's saying, come on. But somehow or other we have some desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. To try and pretend to be Krishna. Therefore he allows us this freedom. But it's described in the Bhagavatam, Shrunvata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam, that hearing the glories of Krishna, hearing about his pastimes, if we develop a taste for hearing about Krishna, Krishna's in the heart, and within the heart, he actually actively works to purify from the inside. You know, if you think maybe there is perhaps you've seen some film where there's some spies. There's often films, you know, like James Bond, whatever it is. I've also seen many of these films. And usually what happens, the reason one group wins is because they've got a man on the inside. You know? That there's maybe a big company or a big government and they look very impenetrable, but there's someone on the inside who's actually sharing all their secrets to the outside guys. And he's actually internally, because they fully trust this one internally, and he's dismantling their entire framework. So similarly, actually, Krishna is the inside man. And when Krishna sees that we've got a taste for hearing about him, then actively within the heart, he starts to purify all these things which are keeping us separate from Krishna. You know, we're covered by lust and anger and greed and these symptoms of the material world. Arjuna asks in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you know, why? I know all this knowledge. You're telling me all these things. It makes perfect sense. I want to become a good person. I want to do the right thing. But still I go down the same path I was going before. Anyone here has made a New Year's resolution before? Yeah? You can raise your hands. You've made a New Year's resolution. You're going to give up this habit. You're going to eat healthy. You're going to exercise every day. You're going to become compassionate. You're not going to fight with your wife. You're going to study hard. We've all been there. Yeah? And then what happens? You know, round about this time actually, we're nearing the end of January. So this is the perfect time for your New Year's resolutions to fail. January is actually a very tough month for many people. But why is it? Why is it that although we know the knowledge, we come to the temple, we see Krishna, we know how beautiful Krishna is, we know Krishna says, Sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. He says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto majaji mam namaskara. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me. And this is what will make you really happy. And we know this, but still we don't. Why? So Arjuna asks like this. He says, it's like I'm impelled. I want to do this, but I'm being forced in this way. So he says, why? And Krishna says, Kama esa, krodha esha, rajaguna samudbhava, mahasana mahapapma, vijjayanam ihavairinam. That simply, you have a very big enemy. And this enemy is lust, kama. This desire to enjoy this material world. We the jiva, we cannot enjoy this material world. It doesn't mix with us. It's something completely different. We are spiritual. Aham brahmasmi. We are spiritual. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We're not born. We don't die. None of these things happen to us. But because we accept this material body, then we think that we are this body, and everything relating to this body is us, and that we can enjoy this world. But yeah, this is actually our source of suffering. So we're propelled by this lust sometimes, but here's the secret. We've got an inside man, and that inside man is Krishna. And when he sees that you simply have a little taste to hear, you just like to hear about Krishna, or even better, you like to hear his names, because Krishna, you see Krishna is on the altar there, okay? But here is something inconceivable. What time is it? Yeah, it's 6. Here's some inconceivable knowledge. Okay, Krishna is on the altar. But when we see Krishna on the altar, it's exactly the same as when we say and hear Krishna. Isn't it? And here's the interesting thing. Anyone here have some deities in their house? Yeah? You can raise your hand. You have some deities in your house? Maybe some picture of Krishna or a nice deity of Krishna? Now you can see there's many different deities of Krishna. And sometimes you come before Radha Gokulananda and you're amazed by the beauty of Radha Gokulananda. How can you not be? They're stunning. But other times you can maybe see there's a deity and it doesn't so much grab your attention. Now perhaps, maybe I'd like to ask a question. Why is it that when you come and you see a deity, it really, really grabs your attention and you feel so much love and so much beauty? Why do you think Krishna comes in this way? Anyone could think? Yeah, Krishna relates. So when we serve Krishna with love, see there's so many devotees here who are on the altar, many devotees, very exalted, and they're putting so much effort to feed Krishna, you know? I better guess. Who can guess what's the first thing Krishna eats in the morning? How about yourself, in the school uniform, yeah? Think, what is the thing Krishna eats first in the morning? If you think you're God, you can eat anything you want. What would you have first in the morning? Sweets. Krishna has lots of sweets. Yeah? Right in the morning he gets lots of sweets, and he gets rubbery and sweet milk, and then he gets breakfast, and then he gets beautiful lunch. So much love is put into that. And all these beautiful outfits are hand-grown, the garlands or flowers are grown and made. And all this love, out of this love, Krishna reciprocates. And so Krishna becomes very, very present. So you come before Krishna, Radha Gokulananda here, you're looking at Krishna. Whereas if perhaps someone has a deity, and maybe once every second week they offer a little bit of food, or maybe not even that, it's just in the corner. Sometimes people have deities that gather dust. I've been to places, you can see there's deities, maybe in a shop, people just think they're ornaments, and they do no worship. Then Krishna doesn't manifest in that form. You don't see Krishna so much. So similarly, when we chant Krishna's names, if we chant with love, then Krishna comes. And Krishna, he dances on your tongue. So it's described actually by Rupa Goswami that when he's chanting, because these great saints, when they chant with love, Krishna's right there. They do not want to stop. He says, I wish I had thousands of tongues and millions of ears. because he wants to chant more and more. Yeah. Similarly, some devotees, there's a pastime. Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya went to the temple to see Lord Jagannath. And as common, when he went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, he circumambulated the temple 3 times round. It's what you're supposed to do. And later he went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, "So Advaita, what have you been doing?" And Advaita said, "Yes, I went to see Lord Jagannath." He said, "No, but what were you doing?" "Oh, I just took darshan." "No, but what were you doing?" "Well, I circumambulated the temple." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Ha, I've beaten you." Because when Lord Chaitanya would go, he wouldn't circumambulate the temple because he's just looking at Lord Jagannath. He cannot take his eyes away. It's described that with his eyes he's actually drinking. He's just absorbing, seeing Krishna. But of course, this is Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in this age, in the form of a devotee, in Bhakti Rupa. So we cannot imitate. But anyways, I think I'll just go back to this verse. I've been sidetracked. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about the perfect yogi. So a true yogi sees the equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So we see that throughout the world, many, many people are suffering a lot. You just flick on the news, you see there's war, there's famine, and even the things which aren't reported so much. Many people, even those who may be well off in a wealthy country, still they're suffering mentally. And anybody who has some intelligence, has some compassion, some humanity, we want to do something. So how can I help these people? But the secret here is actually given, Prabhupada gives in a purport, that actually, if we become a devotee of God, then one of the symptoms of that is that we see how every single living entity is also a devotee of God. You see, our relationship with Krishna is not just a relationship between us and Krishna. It's actually described that if you want to see Krishna alone, then this is not actually the highest. The highest is want to see Krishna surrounded by his devotees. Because it's described Krishna is like a jewel. A beautiful, beautiful jewel. And maybe some people here, they have some nice jewellery on. Yeah? Earrings or rings, etc. So you take a beautiful jewel. If you take a beautiful jewel and then you place it within a gold encasing, it becomes even more beautiful. It's like this Krishna surrounded by his devotees is very, very beautiful. And there's different types of devotees. Initially, someone may just come to the temple and see, okay, Krishna is there, but Krishna's nowhere else. I can come here, I can bow down, I can say my prayers to Krishna, and then afterwards I can leave the door and I can forget about Krishna. Krishna's here, I'm not out there. But really we have to understand Krishna is everywhere. Everything is Krishna's energy. And more than that, Krishna is in every single person's heart. So actually, if you become a lover of Krishna, think of it like this. Anybody here has ever been in a relationship? Maybe you've had a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, someone they really, really love. That person will steal their mind, isn't it? The person steals your mind, and you're thinking about that person always. You're always thinking, how can I serve that person? Or even you see something that's related to them, instantly they come to your mind. So similarly, we actually have to develop this love and this attachment for Krishna. So anywhere we are, we're always thinking of him. And we're always wanting to see him. Therefore, wanting to see him in every single living entity. And this is where true compassion really comes. So in this purport here, Prabhupada is describing how the advanced devotee tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious. He is the best philanthropist in the world. So there's many people, perhaps they try and raise some funds to, send relief over to places where there's war. Or they help people, different charity work, they feed people, give clothing, etc. And all of this is good. It's very good to help people. But it said actually the best help you can ever give someone is to reawaken their love for Krishna. Because what is everybody looking for? Maybe you could give a suggestion. What do you think everybody in the world is looking for? The one thing everybody wants. Yeah, anybody can say? Love, happiness, money? Who said money? Yeah. Ultimately, we want happiness. Why do we want happiness? Because we are inherently happy. That is the nature of our soul. Our soul is full of bliss. And if you take something which is full of bliss, and then you try and make it pretend it's not blissful, it's like you take an animal, you take a fish out of the sea. It just cannot survive, no matter what else you give it. We're looking for that happiness. But here's a question. Raise your hand if you would like to be happy. Yeah? Okay. Now let me ask you another question. Probably, what's your name? Paul. Okay. How happy would you like to be for? How long would you like to be happy for? Rest of your life. Yeah? So what if I told you, yeah, you can be happy for the next 2 years. Would you be satisfied? Because what's going to happen after 2 years? You won't be happy anymore. If you're happy for 2 years, then you take away the happiness, then you're not happy. So anyone like mathematics? Because this is spiritual mathematics, the mathematics of happiness. If you're happy now, and then we end that happiness, you're no longer happy, therefore there's no happiness. Real happiness is eternal. It's blissful. Sat Chitananda. That is our true nature, it's eternal. It's full of knowledge and it's full of bliss. Therefore the only happiness which can really survive, which can really awaken us and truly satisfy us is that happiness in relationship to Krishna. Yes. So we'll pause here before I start waffling on. Is there any questions or comments so far? Or else we can continue with the class. Okay. I'll read a little bit more of the purport. So Prabhupada here is describing the mood of Krishna consciousness. He quotes one very famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Nacha tasmin manusyeshu kashtin mem priyakritama. I'm just going to read the full translation of this verse because I really should know this verse off by heart because it's one all the Sankirtan devotees should know. This is after Krishna's explained all the instructions of the Gita, all the knowledge you need for spiritual life. He says these two verses, for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. And then he says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. There is no servant more dear to Krishna than one who goes out of his way to bring others to Krishna. So he said our happiness comes from serving Krishna, from pleasing Krishna. And of course we don't please Krishna directly, we please Krishna through the spiritual master. You know, how can we actually approach Krishna? It's like, say there's a very, very famous person, a big celebrity, whoever it is, and you're just some very small person. You cannot just go up and speak to them straight away. But if you know someone, if you're friends with someone who knows them well, then you can access. So similarly, we serve the spiritual master. We please the spiritual master. And the most pleasing service you can do, it's described actually, Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation of Krishna for this age. And he actually comes in the form of a devotee, in disguise. We're talking a lot about spies today, you know. Krishna in disguise, Chana avatar, covered avatar. But he's an anxiety. Who knew that God could be an anxiety? But Lord Chaitanya, he's an anxiety. He's an anxiety because he knows what it tastes to experience devotional service. Krishna himself doesn't know what it's like, because Krishna is God. So God doesn't know what it's like to serve God. But he wants to know, because he can see that his devotees are actually getting happier. They're happier than him. So, well, I want to have that. So Krishna comes as the form of a devotee to experience what it's like to serve. And so Krishna comes in this form of Lord Chaitanya. And actually Lord Chaitanya said he's an anxiety, because he knows what it's like to serve Krishna. He knows what it's like to be engaged in devotional service. And he can see that many people are not doing it. And so he's feeling this anxiety. Therefore it said, anybody who personally takes on some anxiety to teach other people about Krishna, to spread the glories of Krishna, to share this Krishna consciousness, they are relieving Lord Chaitanya's anxiety. Lord Chaitanya's got a headache, and if you actually end up getting a headache, engaged in your service. You see many devotees sometimes are going around like this, this is too much. You know, they're taking on lots of responsibility. They got lots of stress sometimes, but actually they're relieving Lord Chaitanya's stress. Of course, we shouldn't look for stress. We should be in the mode of goodness, but, you know, Prabhupada, you look at the example of Prabhupada. You know, who here could imagine you're 70? You're 70, you're living in Vrindavan, you come and you start teaching people about Krishna. That's one thing, but Prabhupada, he went beyond the call of duty. You know, constantly traveling around the world, opening up temples, communicating with people, writing books. He would get up, you know, maybe 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning and translate these books. He would take on so much anxiety. So can you just imagine how dear Prabhupada is to Krishna? So this is our secret. Prabhupada is so dear to Krishna. Now Krishna says, there's these 4 verses in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 10, which are Chatur Shloki, sort of the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, Machita Magata Prana Bodhayantas Parasparam. That the thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. So Krishna is always thinking of his pure devotees. Just as when you love someone, you're always thinking of them, Krishna loves his devotees. He's always thinking of them. They are always thinking of Krishna, and Krishna is always thinking of them. So Prabhupada must be so dear to Krishna. So this is the secret. Yeah? Prabhupada's in Krishna's heart, Prabhupada's in Krishna's mind. Krishna's thinking of Prabhupada. Therefore, if we can please Prabhupada, then we're inside Prabhupada's mind. And Prabhupada's inside Krishna's mind, therefore we're inside Krishna's mind. You know, this is how Parampara works. And to please Prabhupada is very simple. Prabhupada said, if you want to please me, distribute my books. There's many things you can do to please Prabhupada. But if you want one surefire way, one way that's not going to depend upon so many material considerations, if you want one way to actually just please Prabhupada, distribute his books. Prabhupada came here. Prabhupada was asked one time, you're an old man, Swamiji. Why you go all the way to America? Yeah, you could die. Why go all the way to America? You know, it's not worth it. Prabhupada said, I'm not going to America. Srimad Bhagavatam is going to America. I'm simply accompanying. So like this, spiritual life, we have to do something. First of all, it's about getting. We come, we see Krishna, we read, we hear, is nice. But the fructification, you know, you get a seed and the seed needs to fructify. How does it fructify? When we actually do something. Love is a verb. Yes, yes, I love you. Would you mind helping me with this? No. I just love you. I don't want to help you. I just love you. Yeah. Oh, you've fallen over. You're in pain. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. It's like this. Oftentimes, I love you so much, but I'm not going to do anything for you. That's not love. Love, a mother will stay up all night to see to her crying child. That's love. To put what you want out of the picture for someone else. That's love. So Krishna consciousness is inherently this. It's about putting aside what you want, your desires, and simply trying to please Krishna. And Krishna says, Ananyan chintayastro man, tesham nityabhayuktagnam, yogakshama vahamyaham. That if we're constantly doing that, we're constantly thinking of Him, trying to serve Him. How can we serve Him? He carries everything. He looks after everything. We don't have any worries. Krishna will carry what we lack. But we have to have faith. And it's described real faith. Real faith is to know that simply by discharging devotional service, simply by serving Krishna, then everything else is taken care of. That's faith. To know that actually, oftentimes we can think, well, I'll come, maybe I'll pray, but I'll also have my own plan at the side, just in case. Krishna, I'm going to pray to you, I'm going to try to serve to you, but also I've got this little plan on the side, because just in case you can't manage, But, that's not faith. Pure faith is knowing that simply by serving Krishna, then everything else is taken care of. So here's the question. How do we get that faith? The faith comes from the devotees. You have to surround yourself by people who are pushing you forward spiritually. You have to constantly be putting yourself in a situation where people are encouraging you. Because to engage in spiritual life is like, for so long, material life is like a fast-flowing river that is going down one way, and everybody is going down that way. Like perhaps an escalator in the shopping centre. There's an escalator going down, and everybody is going down this way. And actually, when you turn around and say, no, Krishna, I want to become your devotee. Krishna, I want to serve you. Krishna, I want to develop love for you. What you're trying to do is you're trying to go up the escalator, and everybody else is going down that way. It's a struggle. But nothing good comes without a fight. And this is the best possible thing. But if you think about it, you've got to make all this effort to go up. If you can surround yourself by other people who are also going up, and are going up faster than you, then that's going to encourage you and support you. If you're on your own, no chance. So like this, we have to develop deep, meaningful, heartfelt connections with those who are very spiritually advanced. And when we have these deep, meaningful, heartfelt connections, then these will pull us. Because many times we'll think, I've had enough. I want to give up. I don't want to wake up. That was me this morning. If you ever want to know what the mind is, people talk about the mind. If you want to know what the mind is, just listen to your first thought when the alarm goes off. That is the mind personified. They say, no. But the mind does not want you to become Krishna conscious. Because until we conquer the mind, it's the worst enemy. It doesn't want what's good for us. It wants you to stay in bed. It wants you to eat all that unhealthy food. It wants you to just waste away your life. So don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. Listen to the intelligence. The intelligence is saying, you should get up. And very soon the mind likes to be told what to do. It's like, perhaps you've seen some children, if the parents are not very strict, the child does whatever it wants. They might think they're being kind to the child. They say, okay, you can do that. The child says, I want this. Okay, you can take it. I want this. I don't want to do it. And the parent says, yes, yes, yes. The parent might think it's being kind, but actually the child's not happy. It gets more and more frustrated. And it won't grow up into a nice civilized adult. But if the parent loves the child, it will say, no, you can't do this, you can do this. You listen to me. And the child actually is much happier in that relationship. Is much happier in that relationship, and it becomes submissive. So similarly, when the mind gets used to being told what to do, then it's happier. So, just to summarize what we've discussed today, by love, Krishna reveals himself. When we chant, when we serve the deities, there has to be love, and then Krishna shows himself. The highest form of love is actually to teach others about Krishna. And faith is developed in association. So you have to love. You cannot love on your own. You have to love in community. So perhaps any comments or questions? I like questions. If you don't have any questions, I will have to ask you some. You have a question, Prabhu? Okay, I will ask you a question. Yeah?
Then we have to think about Krishna. How do we remember Krishna always?
How to remember Krishna?
Yeah.
There's a very easy way to remember Krishna always. You want to know what that is? Never forget him. It's described actually. I'll read one verse. This has been my recent meditation on Sankirtan. It's helped me a lot, this verse. This is 1857. I would recommend those of you who like to learn verses, they learn this one. Krishna says, Chaitasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matpara buddhi yogam apasritya matchita satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Be fully conscious of me. So Prabhupada clarifies in a purport. Let me just find... Yes. The Sanskrit word matpara is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life, save and except acting in Krishna consciousness, just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. That we have to mold our life in such a way. You see, Arjuna, there's a famous story. Guru Das, I think it is. He's building a temple in Vrindavan. Now, building a temple is not so easy. Anyone here ever built a temple? Especially in India, when you don't know the culture, when you have no bricks. They couldn't get any bricks. And lots of different difficulties with people trying to rip them off, charge them. They see, okay, here's a white-bodied person, let's charge them 3 times as much. So happens when I go to India. So it's like this, and very, very stressful. And he went to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, every day I'm just thinking of bricks and money. I'm not thinking of Krishna. And Prabhupada says, do you think Arjuna on the battlefield is thinking of Krishna? Arjuna is shooting arrows. He's thinking, what weapon should I draw? What weapon should I do here? How should I kill this person? He's only thinking of Krishna when he's actually using his feet. Because Krishna's a chariot driver. And the way that the archer would communicate with the chariot driver is he'd use his feet to basically press him. That's all his connection with Krishna. But he's executing Krishna's order. Krishna's service and Krishna are non-different. Therefore, yes, our goal is to be completely absorbed in thought of Krishna. But, Prabhupada gave this program. Our minds are so restless. We cannot chant 64 rounds a day. We cannot do these things. But he gave us service, and this service was for Krishna, but we do it. It has to be personal. We do it for the spiritual master. Therefore, one very nice thing, I need to do this more. I always forget. One devotee told me, but before doing any service, then we recite pranam mantras for our spiritual master. And if we don't have a spiritual master, we recite pranam mantras for Srila Prabhupada. We make it personal. And actually, it's not like, okay, I can do service in the temple and I go home, I don't do service. We should mold our life that actually our entire life is service. Raising children is service. Raising children to be Krishna conscious is one of the highest services you can do. You could work in an office somewhere And it doesn't, actually, you could be on the altar, serving Krishna there, and someone else could be in the office simply doing admin. They think, okay, that one's Krishna conscious, this one is Maya. It's all about the mentality. You could be on the altar thinking of the office. Whereas people could be in the office simply thinking, well, I'm simply working for Krishna. Everything, all the salary, etc. I'll get here, this is Krishna's. Of course, I will use it to buy food for my family, to buy a house, but simply so we can engage in service. That actually, this is what grihasta means. It means Krishna is at the center. Krishna is the proprietor. If you have deity of Krishna in your house, and Krishna owns that house. You don't own it. But you work to maintain it. And in this way, everything becomes, Prabhupada said, Krishna-ized. Becomes Krishna-ized. Yes. Jesse. Yes. Hare Krishna.
You said that faith is developed with association.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we make the best of our association?
You're asking the wrong person. Yeah. What do you think?
Inquire. For me, I always feel very connected when I inquire.
Yeah, it's described. I quoted that verse actually earlier. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Let me just find it. Sometimes I forget the. Yeah, Machita Magata Prana. Yes. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is real sadhu sangha. Is discussing Krishna together. And you feel so enlivened as well. So I kindly ask that you pray for me that I can actually properly associate with the sadhus, because I say was it Narottam Das Thakur, he prays, "O Vaishnav Thakur, you have Krishna. Krishna is in your heart, therefore you can give him to me." And every day we pray, that the Vaishnavas, they're wish-fulfilling desire trees. They can fill all our desires. But we have to make the most of that association. Maybe anyone else has any thoughts on this matter? Because it's very pertinent. Jignesh.
One of our Acharya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, the second one, those who are holding bead on his chest, he mentioned association is not like being with a person or having, traveling with them or go to eat something. It's not like association, but association is like when we absorb consciousness. Someone else's consciousness when we absorb, that is association. It could be even from far distance, and it could be when we are together.
Yeah.
So, say for example, in material life, if we think like two friends are there, one is drinking alcohol and one is not drinking alcohol. But one is staying like the other one, those who are like drink alcohol, and then he slowly get adapted to the alcohol. Similarly, because like why is it so? Because he is like getting his consciousness, absorbing his consciousness, his mood, his like the way of talk, and his like, his dislike. So similarly, in the devotional circle, when we want to develop something within our heart, like say for example devotion, love, or mood of service, attitude. So when we associate with those devotees, those who have that attitude, we hear from them and we try to absorb that mood. So that's where association.
Yeah. Thank you. There's this story. Some of Prabhupada's godbrothers were a little bit critical. They said, "Prabhupada, you've gone to Mayapur, but you've not gone to see the samadhi of your spiritual master." Prabhupada said, "I never left my spiritual master. because simply all of my energy, all of my life is devoted to serving him. And the order of the spiritual master is none different. Any other people, any comments or anything they'd like to share? Or any questions? Okay, so we can prepare for Gaurati. We're going to sing for the Lord. And perhaps that can be our meditation. How can we develop love so that Krishna will reveal himself to us? Because when 100 people come into the temple room and see the deity of Krishna, they see 100 different things. Krishna is revealing himself in different ways to everybody. But for the pure devotee, Krishna is fully manifest. Even there's stories, Prabhupada come right at the back of the temple. I don't know where it was, maybe someone will know. And he called over the pujari, Prabhupada right at the back of the temple. You can see Krishna was like far away. He said, there is some tilak in Krishna's eye. And the pujari walked all the way up and he peered in Krishna's eye. No, there's not. And Prabhupada, no, you're wrong. He said, you're wrong. Prabhupada said, no, there is tilak in Krishna's eye. So he goes up again and he gets right in close and he sees, oh yeah, there is tilak in Krishna's eye. And he removed it. So what does that show? It shows the deities personally communicating with Srila Prabhupada. The deities, for the pure devotee, the deity talks. Prabhupada says even the deity wants to speak to you, but we're just not listening. So we can develop this love, then we'll be saved. Kanya, thank you all for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Jai Go Premanande. Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gauranitaya ki. Jaya Jaya Gaurachandya Arati Ka Shobha. Jaya Jaya Gaurachandya Arati Ka Shobha. Janavitatavani Jagamanalobha Nick